This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.
Welcome to episode 41 of Paranormal Dads. I'm your co-host, Pat.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Eddie.
Join us as we go in search of the world's monsters, myths, and mysteries right here on Paranormal Dads. Hello there, boys.
Mr. Pat.
Sir, good sir.
I'm excited.
God, we've had a lot of shenanigans leading up to actually starting this episode.
It took a long time for us to get to this point.
It took such a
but
long
we're here
time.
for our listeners and friends, and we're here.
It takes us a while. Remember that one day we were trying to record, it must have been like episode 16 or something. And it took us like 3 hours to get going. And then we just got so worn down and hungry. We're like, okay, let's break for pizza. It's like the episode that just would not begin.
We just started eating pizza right in the middle of the show, didn't we?
We did. We literally
did.
We took a pizza break.
It's like, we'll be right back.
And through the magic of technology,
We
no
were.
time.
It was instantaneous.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're recording at Casa de Eddie right now, and we were looking out the window on this cold, dreary, dismal, gray day, and we were talking about how squatchy the woods back there look. Looks like a good day for werewolves, Bigfoot, maybe a gnome or two.
Yeah, they have that wet, matted fur. As
So
they,
gross.
They chase you around the woods.
Smell like a bag of leaves.
Foraging for turkey scraps that we threw out
Right.
Ugh, yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. We're recording the day after Thanksgiving, so
it's
happy
Black Friday,
Thanksgiving.
and it's black outside. It's
Yeah, and we're all in our elastic waistband pants today.
the loose pants,
still wearing those pants.
the fat pants. We'll
My-
just call it for what it is. The fat pants.
My belt was screaming at me yesterday. It was like, no, take me off. Sweatpants on.
But we're here. We have a little bit of a food coma going, but we'll shake that off. And as always, we'll jump into... Eddie looks like he has heartburn right now.
You okay, bro?
He just burped up some stuffing.
I was just fighting off a heart attack from eating too much food. I'll be good.
Anyway, we'll jump into, even if we need to resuscitate Eddie, we'll jump into recent sightings. Actually, you're on this one, Eddie, for recent, and it's a good one.
Yeah, no, I'm up. So here we go.
Here we go.
Recent sightings. It doesn't get more recent than this. This is fresh.
It sounds like it is recent.
Was it yesterday or the day before?
If this is like an SAT test. If you were in the store looking for, like, say, produce, and you were on the list for your groceries was bananas.
4011.
That was the PLU code. Pat,
That's the SKU for bananas.
Pat
I
knows.
worked in a grocery store for a time.
So you're looking for some 4011s.
He has a 411 on the 4011.
The 4011.
Well done. Anybody out there ringing up produce, keep this in mind. Because they're universal, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because Daphne worked at a grocery store, and she said that they all translated. So you're looking for some bananas. This is so recent. If this was a banana, it'd be green. It'd be a green,
Still ripe.
crusty, crunchy.
Not ripe.
Not ripe at all.
Not
Not
quite
ripe.
right.
Not even ripe. It's so
Brand
fresh.
spanking new, and it has to do with your youngest daughter.
It does. My youngest daughter. So we'll withhold names
Sure, that's
and all
okay.
that stuff. But she was staying the night at a friend's house. And, we've talked about this, and, our families are kind of all into the paranormal stuff as well. And what happens when two, like, preteen girls get together and are kind of not bored, but looking for things to do?
Mm-hmm.
They made their own Ouija board.
Nice.
Naturally.
Intrepid young youths. Like, we can't let the lack of money or transportation stop us from summoning demons. We're going to get a piece of paper, a marker, and a piece of glass.
And draw a Ouija board.
Go back to school next week. How was your Thanksgiving break?
What I did on my
I
Thanksgiving break.
talked to the dead.
Exactly. And so she was very cognizant to be like, Dad, we cleared the room first. Don't worry. We made sure the room was clear. I was like, that's amazing.
And for those of you who are new to this, it doesn't mean they moved the furniture out of the room.
Exactly.
They cleansed it in some form. Right?
Exactly. They kind of vocalize like, we only want to talk to. But I wonder how good of a job they did because.
If it's anything like cleaning a room.
Exactly. They just shoved it all in a closet. And so I asked her how she made it, and she was like, with a piece of paper. And then they made like the planchette out of like cardboard, and they used clear tape, like packing tape, that they put over it like a little window.
Right.
And then they would slide it around this makeshift Ouija board. And so I know. Pat's like, you're a bad dad. And so they start like using this thing, and she's like, it's sliding around, it's doing its thing, and she's telling us as to how she can tell no one's moving it because it's kind of doing some stuff on its own. And they were getting some responses to this, like yes, no stuff. And then at one point, one of them, I forget whether it was her or her friend, asked, well, what's your name? And this thing spells out Zozo. Zozo.
That's
like
creepy.
Bozo.
Like
That's
Bozo.
like Bozo the
Except
Clown.
All Z's.
Yeah, yeah.
Zozo.
And so I looked this up just out of pure curiosity because, like, A, did these kids make it up? Whatever. But it's apparently some form of demon?
Nice.
Oh, no.
And
You gotta love the
Creepy.
internet, right?
Exactly. And there is some like debate, like, because there's like this thing, like the name got brought up on a web blog a few years ago and all this stuff. But it basically is your classic kind of like they say, oh, if you invoke this thing, you'll have like near miss death experiences and all this nasty stuff. So my point to her was like, I'm hoping you like, said goodbye and did all that stuff. And she's like, yeah, we did. But I'm like, these are like little kids. They didn't even
Close the portal. Close
the portal, man. Don't look into the trap. I looked into the trap.
Cross the streams. Don't cross the streams.
So that was the most recent thing. And yeah, once again, I think, and this is my own personal experience, I think like attracts like. I think if you're in a dark place and a dark mentality and have dark, stuff happening around you, that's just going to kind of invite more of that. But if you're basically in a mindset of like, no, we're, there's nothing that we don't want here can be here, I think that's its best. Yeah. Your best line of defense.
I mean, the Ouija board is something I've always kind of steered clear from because of its kind of dark reputation.
Right.
But you kind of shy away from the belief of that sort of thing, don't you, Andy?
I talk to spirits all the time as part of my day job, and I have a Ouija board. It's in my basement next to the other board games. It's right underneath Twister and Battleship.
Ooh.
And
you should combine them. You should combine them all together. Twister ship Ouija and just
you sunk my demon.
You sunk my Zozo.
No, I've tried it a time or two with little to no results, and I'm just not a fan of them more than anything. Just because when I get back home from doing this type of thing during the day, talking to spirits, I don't really want to do that for fun.
Right.
It's like if you work at Starbucks all day, you don't really want to come home and make more coffee.
Yeah,
right.
I work on computers all day, and I haven't used my home computer in probably 2 months.
Exactly.
Right.
No, but I was recently chatting with somebody who was like, "Oh man, why don't you throw that thing out?" And I'm like, A, it's not bothering me in the basement,
right?
And B, if there is any credit to the people who have weird experiences with them, I don't want to throw it away and then find it on my dining room table the next day on fire. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's good. It's not bothering me.
Came back and found you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Zozo.
That's the thing. And there's some stuff online like missing your classic like mischievous like demon or whatever you want to say.
It's your garden variety evil spirit.
Basically, yes. and it's just one of those things that like you get into like urban myth and all sorts of stuff like that. But it doesn't sound like there's anything particularly like I don't want to sound like dismissive like ooh, but I think it is important to dismiss stuff like that because then you give it power if you give too much credit to it.
You could always bank on the hope that maybe one of the two girls subconsciously knew that it was a thing.
That's what I'm
and
almost
subconsciously maybe steered the planchette towards the ZOZO.
or
you
even
know.
consciously. You
Or-
know
or
what I mean?
consciously,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, they're preteens. You know,
Yeah,
it's
like ooh, you know. So, yeah,
sounds like it was the MacGyver of Ouija boards, though.
they did. I have to I wanted to congratulate her or like give her props on
The creativity.
Exactly. She's like, we got to do this now. Dun, 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 dun. Just zooming in as she writes all the
MacGyver
letters.
theme song.
Oh, dude.
That's so great.
And Pat, you said you've never used one ever?
I mean, we've had one. I think my sister got one when we were growing up. At one time, we were probably middle school, high school age, and we used it a couple times, but I don't really remember anything significant about it.
Sure.
When we used it, and
Yeah.
it was something that never really, I don't know, motivated us to keep using it. So,
Right.
I don't think we really experienced much.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I don't know. I'm just thinking of like if they like disassembled a Fruit Loops box and just used one of the little O's as the planchette or something like that. It's like how you could literally make a Ouija board out of anything.
Yes.
I mean, you really could just take a sheet of paper
Yeah.
and you do all the letters and create your own planchette.
And the yes, no, and
Yeah, it's not the device, it's you. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
big
you.
the big takeaway. But yeah, we have used one to great effect. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
but it's someone described it to me, and I can see it happening where it's almost like ghost hunting. Like we went ghost hunting and we had an experience. But the thing is also like, what does that really mean for you ultimately? It's like, is your life any better for it? No, not necessarily. It was neat. It was a cool experience, but like I don't have more money in the bank. I'm not able to like, do anything extra. I think it's one of those things that you could end up like spending your life chasing after, and then you'd have nothing to show for it at the end.
Well, didn't you say in a previous episode at one time you started to kind of consult a board of some kind a little too much, and you're like, okay, I need to cut myself off because this is just, it's on my mind too much.
It's kinda.
Yeah.
It was kind of a similar thing where Shireen was doing it when she was a kid, and it told her to quit using it, which I thought was interesting. And then for me, for my mindset, it was like the thing is, before you know it, hours have gone by, and you're sitting here like, I've been using this thing for 3-4 hours, and at the end, I have nothing to show for this. I don't have any, so it's a weird thing where I think it's a distraction where we live in this world now. Let's experience that, so.
Yeah.
all right.
So Zozo, I say no.
No to Zozo. Be gone, Zozo. You're not welcome here.
Not around paranormal dads or their children or their listeners.
It's time for pop, culture, and the paranormal.
All right, pop culture and the paranormal. And I got a good one today. I'm kind of proud of this one that I rounded up. And I don't know why I can't take pride in something that I didn't create, but this is from ranker.com and alien movies. Not just specifically the movie Alien or
Right.
Aliens, but extraterrestrial related movies ranked on here. And we got, just a plethora of good aliens, bad aliens, scary aliens, little kids movies, everything.
Yeah,
in
they kind of
between.
cover the gamut with.
It spans the spectrum.
There's good, there's bad.
Just like people.
If they don't mention Cocoon, that list is trash.
I haven't seen it on here yet. Eddie's blood pressure just went up.
Who doesn't like a movie where weird aliens live in a pool and then it makes like super old people young again?
I've never seen it.
I
I've never seen that movie.
I just saw it a couple years ago. If it makes you feel any better, I think it took place in Florida, right? Like a Florida
It
retirement.
did, a
home.
retirement home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got Steve Guttenberg in it, man. The Goots.
The goose.
Wasn't he Police Academy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 3 Men and a Baby.
All right.
Come correct.
Well, number 1 is Alien. Number 2 is Aliens.
That's cheating.
Yeah, I know. James Cameron
Yep.
films. I'm trying to think what movie James Cameron just came out with not too long ago. Was it the latest Terminator he was working on?
I think so.
Because I caught wind of a movie he had just made or produced or directed or whatever, and I was like, Jimmy! I was like, James, man, get back to Avatar. I'm waiting
Yeah,
for
right.
Avatar 2
Why
to
are you
come
doing
out.
anything but that?
I've been waiting a decade for Avatar 2.
That, by the way, earlier we were talking about the new Disney Channel. Avatar's on it.
Love me some Avatar,
Disney
man.
Plus.
Disney Plus. Yeah.
By the way, if you haven't seen the new Disney Plus channel, I got to do this. Mandalorian is probably the best bit of television I've seen in probably 20 years.
See,
It's
that
awesome.
good.
and that's coming from the quintessential Star Wars fan in our lives.
And it's a Star Wars kind of spin-off.
It's a Star Wars
side
spin-off.
story.
It's kind of like a Boba Fett type character.
Yes.
Okay.
It's set like 7 years after Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a lawless time in the galaxy. And
Yes.
It's awesome.
it's kind of like a Western too. Have you noticed?
It is very kind of a Western lone gunman kind of feel to it.
So anyway, that's our
And you were saying Disney Plus is like $7 a month, huh?
Yeah.
Every Disney thing ever made, basically.
pretty much.
Cool. I'll have to look that up.
Yep. Goofy movie.
Goofy movie's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, and it's
From
on
the
there.
mid-90s.
Yes, and it's there.
Sorry, Andy.
Yours. So number 3, Predator.
Ooh.
You know, and they had the Alien and the Predator movie. I'm
Yep.
talking, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1987, directed by McTiernan.
He covers himself in mud. Do it! Kill me now! Do it! What are you waiting for?
But the aliens in that were like kind of those. Oh, hold on. There's my alarm.
Wake up.
Time to wake up.
This episode's
Time to
full of-
podcast. No, Predator had those like kind of long dreadlocked aliens with,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the weird mouth that
The
almost
crab
looked like
looking like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then didn't it also have the alien, or was it one of the military guys that was like translucent see-through?
That was his camouflage. The alien, well, the Predator in the alien Predator in Predator had this camo that would like make it like seem like it was see through, but it had like
Yeah.
a shimmery effect.
You could kind of see where it was.
yeah, warping effect.
Yeah, it's oldie but a goodie.
He was in Blida Blow.
I'll give you guys a clue. I'm just going to give you a line from this movie, and you tell me what this number 4 alien movie
Oh,
is.
here we go.
Psh, welcome to Earth.
Independence Day.
Bingo. 2 points for Pat.
Pat didn't even hesitate.
Will Smith, 1996. Awesome science fiction disaster film.
That is
little
one
known-
of my favorite alien movies.
Little known fact: he was one of the first people to slap those alien cheeks. That's what he did right there.
It wasn't Jeff Goldblum in that too.
Yes.
He was.
Yeah. And that crop duster kind of
Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid.
he flies his crop duster up into the alien ship and blows it to smithereens.
Yeah, Randy Quaid. Gosh, a lot of Brent Spiner from Star Trek.
The guy from Taxi, who played Alex Rieger.
Yes.
Was it Alex Rieger in
Yep.
Taxi? His name escapes me right now.
yeah.
Well, I saw it was either the sequel or the remake. I think it was a sequel. It came out just a couple of years ago, Independence Day, the next one.
Yeah.
And I hate to say, I was
Wasn't
a little,
as good.
Wasn't as
No.
good. I was
Yeah.
a little disappointed. Of course, it's hard to beat Will Smith.
Right.
So at number 5, we have Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope. We have E.T. the Extraterrestrial on this list.
It's a good one.
Good one.
The scene where he was like laying dead in the not dead, but almost dead in the ditch.
Oh,
As a
yeah.
kid, that
He was
worked
all
me
pale
up. I was
looking.
like, it scared
The
me.
raccoons were kind of sniffing him a little
I
bit.
know. Ooh, that's sad.
You know that movie was sponsored by Reese's Pieces
Oh, yeah.
all day long. Reese's Pieces. There we go. Men in Black at number 7.
That was a fun one.
Awesome. 1997. Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith.
Is that when the first one came out? Was 97?
97. Wow. Yeah. Here's a good one. A little lesser known, perhaps, but The Fifth Element. Have you guys
Yes.
seen that one?
I
Yes.
haven't seen that one.
Wait, you've not?
don't
Ooh,
believe so.
Also
put that
ni-
on the list.
Also 97. Man,
What?
97 was a big year for aliens.
Bruce Willis, Pat.
Huh.
And yeah, there's this. Oh, it's such a fun movie.
Yeah, it's good. Fifth Element. Very kind of futuristic sci-fi.
Visually, really cool looking. Just the colors and the design and
Just stunning. Yeah, just stunning. Then number 9, we have Star Wars Episode 5. Coming in at number 10, we have a alien movie called District 9. Did you guys
Yep.
ever seen this one?
I know what the poster looks like, but I never saw it.
it's one of my
right
favorites.
there.
Yeah.
Big old mothership hovering over the city.
Yeah.
Came out in 2009, August, and kind of sad
Yeah.
in parts. Basically, it's aliens land, humans basically take them as
Segregate 'em.
slaves and segregate. There's a lot of kind of racial and political undertones, and I think that movie takes place in South Africa, even.
Yep. The whole thing is set in South Africa, and that's why it has a lot of like accented
Yeah.
dialogue that it kind of takes a second for your ear to get used to, but the plot's so good. Like all like good deep sci-fi. I think it has like that socio-political kind of slant.
And District 9 almost pulls at your heartstrings, kind of like that Avatar movie did with those aliens, because it's one of those movies where you almost feel like the humans are the bad guys and the aliens are the good guys.
Right.
Kind of deal. Coming in at number 11, we have Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Probably
Such a good
the
movie.
classic
Yes.
Alien movie.
That was so good. That came out the year I was born.
1977. I was going to say 97.
Same year as Star Wars.
Yep.
Yep.
And once if you see that movie, you just can't get that tune out of your head.
No.
Do, 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 do. Yeah.
Yeah. When that ship rotates and looks like a gigantic city, I remember as
Yeah.
a kid just being like mouth hanging open, like
Yeah, and we won't give anything away. Oh, if you haven't seen it since 77,
it's a 42-year-old
Yeah,
movie,
but-
man.
I mean, there's got to be a statute of limitations for spoiler alert, right?
there needs to be.
I
But
think 42 is
the ending of the movie takes place on top of Devil's Tower in Wyoming. So if you see this movie and then go to Wyoming, you'll look at Devil's Tower and it'll never
Yeah.
quite be the same.
Right.
Gosh, there's so many good movies on here. Total Recall, which I've seen but not in years. I can't.
I've seen that one.
I couldn't tell you what kind of aliens are in that particular one.
Total Recall is the one where Arnold
I know
goes to
Arnold.
Mars.
Mars.
And there's this big like conspiracy between like the Earth colonists who live on Mars, and because they've been on Mars for so long, they get kind of mutated, and there's all this kind of thing about the mutants being treated differently, and they rise up against the normies, and then the big thing was that, spoiler again, it's like a 20-year-old movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that there's this hidden technology on Mars that hints at it being colonized at one point in time, and they activate it somehow. There's some evidence of like these aliens living there, and they activate this technology, and it basically terraforms Mars into a habitable, breathable environment.
I feel that's the premise for a lot of movies, actually.
Right.
You know, that there used to be life on Mars. And from what they're discovering nowadays, quite literally, they think it was a very Earth-like planet,
Yep.
several million years ago. A couple billion years ago? Whatever. Signs coming in at number 15.
Ooh.
For my money, this is one of the eeriest
Yeah.
movies. And
Is that Bruce Willis again?
it's
That's Mel Gibson.
Mel
Mel
Gibson,
Gibson,
and
yep.
Joaquin Phoenix. Came out in 2002. M. Night Shyamalan at his best, directing that one. It was creepy because the aliens in that movie have very little screen time.
Yeah.
Very little screen time. It's all build up. It's all eerie happenings.
Yep.
My personal favorite coming in at 16 is Avatar.
Oh,
Yeah.
My
a
favorite
good one.
movie of all time. Right up there with Contact, actually.
Dances with Wolves in Space.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's what it is.
What it was.
That's exactly what the plot is. You're right.
Space Wolves.
This list goes on and on. Contact is in there.
I was going to say Contact needs to be.
That
in
was
there.
so good.
That's one of my favorites when it comes to aliens. Even though you really don't see any aliens.
Yeah.
But they kind of allude to it.
I think that came out in like 96?
96. Yep. I was wrong. 97. Yeah.
97, big year.
But based on Carl Sagan's book
Yep.
called Contact. And I'll never forget when I saw that movie in theaters. I happened to be in Nashville, Tennessee, and I watched it in a theater style. What do you call that? Stadium style movie theater for the first time ever. It blew me away. And yeah, the alien in that movie has very little screen time either. It basically takes the form of her deceased father on the
father,
beach.
right.
Yeah. Gosh, X-Files, Pitch Black, Prometheus, Galaxy Quest.
Ooh,
You like
that's
that
a
one, don't you,
fun
Eddie?
one.
That's a fun one.
Yes, one of the first movies, sci-fi movies, to take the trope of this was a fictional thing that these other aliens took it to be real, and then basically treated these people as if they were actually those people,
All right.
and made them come save
So
their-
it was kind of a spin-off of a Star Trek type
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
These people did a TV show, and the aliens picked up their signal and thought, "Oh, these guys are handy. They could help us with our problems." So they came to Earth and recruited them, and found out they were just a bunch of actors.
So good. And it's a good one.
War of the Worlds is on the list.
You know what? I gotta say something. So we're talking about Tom
Cruise was in it.
Cruise's
Yeah.
War of the Worlds.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
I started watching this show,
Mm-hmm.
and it got to the point where it was so disturbing to me, I turned it off.
Yeah.
When you got these monster machines going over the landscape, basically picking up people, chopping them up into little bits and spitting them out.
And they look like big spiders.
Yeah,
You know,
it was just, it grossed me out so much I quit watching the movie.
Is that what
I never-
happened in it?
It's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I
disturbing.
don't remember that part. I have to look that up.
Yeah,
And-
it's nasty.
Ugh.
And they're huge. I mean, they're like 50-foot tall robotic metal aliens. They kind of look like spiders, only
Yeah.
they have like 2 or 4 legs or something like that. But yeah, and the noise that they make, it's almost comparable to like a dinosaur roar, and but like a metallic. Oh, it's just disturbing.
Time to wake up.
Sorry, I gotta shut that alarm off. And Mars Attacks, Men in Black. It goes on and on and on.
Man,
Predator, Spaceballs,
Spaceballs.
Anyway, do you guys have a favorite alien movie?
Here we go.
Interstellar.
Some of them were already mentioned.
Go a little bit deeper in it, maybe.
Independence Day, Contact are right up there for me. Trying to
Super 8. You guys remember that? Came out a few years back.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Very Spielbergian.
Yeah. It almost kind of sort of reminded me of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
If Stranger Things was a movie, it would have been like Super 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids were kind of the focus in that one, and they were making a movie. And
yeah. Anyway, so many good alien movies. Transformers even, because there's aliens in that. It goes on, and I didn't realize how many alien movies there actually were till I looked at this list. Like, seen it.
One of my favorite alien movies that did not get mentioned, and like what you said, Pat, a lot of my favorites are in that list, but this one wasn't. The Last Starfighter is one of my favorites.
Actually, I just saw that as Andy was scrolling through there. It's in the list.
Did they just list off every alien movie ever made?
It's darn near. I'm down to 57, 58.
Wow.
Flight of the Navigator's on there.
Come on.
Yes.
That's such a good one, too.
Love it.
Kid goes missing in 1978 and wakes up 5 years later.
Yeah.
As if no time has gone by.
Close Encounters is one of my favorites, just because I think there's a lot of build up to that. It's like, what are we really dealing with?
Right.
They touch on Flight 19 in that one, which is a very cool scene. They kind of show you what happens on the air traffic control side of a UFO sighting. That was one of my favorites when it comes to alien movies.
Yeah.
Last Starfighter. And that might be a little bit lesser known one for some people, especially younger generations.
Sure.
But you actually, do you want to give a little shout out to Last Starfighters?
Well, I
What you
will.
got going on?
First of all, hello to any Last Starfighters listening out there. Help us fight the Kodan Armada. So first of all, the Last Starfighters movie, the Last Starfighter movie was, I think, 1982 or 83, something
Sounds
like
about
that.
right, yeah. Kind of the arcade era.
Yeah,
video
right on the
arcade.
tail end, or no, still right in the heat of it, I think. It wasn't quite. And the notion of it was it's this young man, Alex Rogan. He's born and raised in this trailer park in Nevada, somewhere in the desert of Nevada. And he has higher aspirations. He wants a bigger life. And he applies to a college that'll get him out of his home state, and he gets declined. And so when all seems lost, there's this video game, like an arcade cabinet in their trailer park called Starfighter. And he goes and he plays it every day as a way to kind of escape for a little bit from his reality. And his mom owns the place and has him basically running around like fixing all these people's electricity and TV antennas and stuff like that. And he beats the game one day, just in a fit of being frustrated and stuff. He goes over to the game, beats it, and it's like, you win, high score. And it's a great scene because the whole community comes and watches him, and it's like old people high-fiving him, woo, you win! And I'm like, this never happens. No. This is more unbelievable than actually aliens coming down. Like, there's no way you're going to get some baby boomer to come watch you play a game and then high-five you as you're beating it,
Yeah.
And so he beats the game, but when he beats the game, the arcade cabinet sends out a signal, doof, off into space, and alerts the man who put it there, Centauri, as a recruiting tool to come and take him and help them fight off these bad guys.
And he kind of looks like a worm, or he has that kind of like bald, wrinkly kind of thing going.
He's a human man. He looks like, but he has a face. He has a face that he kind of puts on over his face.
Okay.
And Alex sees him out of the corner of his eye, and he has this kind of wrinkly, kind of worm face.
Yeah.
That he puts his human face back on real quick. And it has a lot of good, quirky, down to earth. It kind of makes you feel like he's a normal American teenager. It's a little cheesy in spots, but it was also the early 80s. They were still figuring out how to tell these kinds of movies, but it's a really fun one. So yeah, one of my favorites. And the Last Starfighters Entertainment Group, which we're kind of a part of. It is a collective of podcasters and comedians and comic book creators and puppeteers and artists. And the idea is that we will put our strengths together and just hang out and do fun things whenever the inspiration strikes us to kind of combine our forces.
So a good group of those people were with us when we did our grand investigation
Yes.
in Grand Island.
Yep.
Yep. Great group of people, creative, talented individuals, basically.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you get all that group together and it's nuts. And anybody might see us share some of our posts and stuff like that. So yeah, just stay tuned for any more updates from that.
Well, to put a bow on this pop culture and the paranormal alien segment, my recommendation, because everyone's seen Avatar, most people have seen Contact, everyone's seen Men in Black. My recommendation, if you're looking for a lesser known alien movie, is K-Pax. K-PAX, and it's a movie starring Kevin Spacey. It's a drama. It's about a guy who goes to a mental institution because people think he's nuts because he claims to be an alien that is visiting our planet, and he's quirky and he's eccentric and he's very smart, and the psychologist can't figure him out. And the more the movie progresses, the more it makes you wonder, okay, is this guy nuts, or is he really from a different planet? Because he has knowledge of constellations and things that he shouldn't know, and it's just really, really well done. So that'd be my recommendation if you think you've seen all the alien movies, is K-Pax. But nice. We could even do a part 2 to this alien movie segment here. But
let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it some other time. But so this concludes our segment, and next is the main course, the main mystery. And Pat, you're up to bat on this one.
I am, and it's coming up right after this.
All right, strap yourself in, people. Here we go.
Nanu.
And now it's time for the main mystery.
Picture yourself on a boat on a river. No, just kidding. Not a river, an ocean.
Ooh,
A big ocean.
ocean of doubt.
But don't picture yourself there. Picture no one there.
Ooh,
So what we're talking about today are ghost ships.
dang.
And we're not talking about ships that are quote unquote haunted or ships that have ghosts on them. They're ships that just kind of appear out of nowhere. Most of them have a history, but nobody really knows what that history is. Nobody knows what happened to the crews. These are all ships that were found at sea, and their crews are gone. So nobody knows what happens to these.
So there's a ship that's just running adrift
Amuck in the
with
ocean.
no crew, no nobody.
Some of them for, years it's been afloat. Which goes to show you how huge the oceans are.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how long a vessel can be out just floating around,
Yeah.
and nobody sees it, nobody knows anything about it. All of a sudden one day there it is, and you got a mystery on your hands. And that's one of the things we cover here on Paranormal Dads: monsters, myths, and mysteries.
This is it.
So this is the mystery portion of the show.
It makes you wonder, like, it makes you realize that when people who are running adrift, like those stories of people who are like in a life raft,
Yeah.
who get found, it's like, how magical and rare is that there's probably even way more people who just never get found.
And it just goes to show you how immense the ocean is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can really appreciate it unless you've actually been out on the open ocean before. I've done it once in my life. We went on a cruise, and you just look out there and you see nothing but water.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
And then you look at the propellers in the engine room, and you're like, "Keep going, baby!
Yeah.
don't fail me now."
That's the only thing keeping us alive right now.
Either that, or you got the
essentially.
Coast Guard on speed dial.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, don't stop working now, man.
Yeah. Never do you have such a deeper appreciation of your boat or ship than when you look and see how big
Yeah.
the ocean is.
It's
You're
like,
like,
just stay seaworthy for me for a few more days.
Yeah. I grew up on the coasts, and so we didn't go to the beach every day. That's the big misnomer. Like, you went to the beach every day, didn't you? No. Like,
It's like you live in Nebraska, you eat corn every night, don't you?
we do. That's the funny part. But no, we would go out there probably, once a month or whatever. And yeah, eventually, like, you're just used to it. But every so often, not even on a boat or a ship, but I would, like, even on like a boogie board or a surfboard, you just paddle out far enough just far enough to where you can still see the shore, but you also just see nothing but the expanse of blue ahead of you, and you're like, this is so. And beneath your feet, you can't feel the sand anymore. It's just more water. You're like.
That's when you turn around, you go back in.
Yeah, you're like, man, there could be anything underneath my feet right now, nibbling on my toes.
Right.
But yeah, derelict ships just running adrift.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, and I've read some of these stories where you have cases of like, there's not even a sign of struggle either. It's just like they're just gone.
It's just,
there's no blood, there's no bodies.
There's still food on the table.
Yeah.
Just no sign of, like you say, no sign of disturbance. Everything seems to be in working order. It's just an empty ship. It's like
I watched a documentary on Travel Channel or something like that, and it was a smaller boat, crew of 3, but they found it and they found no sign of struggle, no blood, no crew. All 3 guys were gone, and their coffees were still giving off steam.
wow.
Whoa.
So like something happened. They just weren't there. Like and the meals were set, sandwiches were made, coffee was piping hot, and the guys are just not there, gone. But it makes you wonder also if it happens more in Bermuda Triangle area. I'm not sure, but
Yeah. So we'll go over a couple of these. The first one is a ship called SV, and I'm guessing that stands for Saline Vessel.
Yeah, I think so.
SV Mary Celeste. And so after passing Santa Maria Island in the Azores on November 25th, 1872.
Ooh, 70s.
The last, the old 70s. The last entry on the ship's slate, I should say, the Mary Celeste, a merchant ship, became derelict in unknown circumstances. She was found December 4th, 1872, so maybe a week or so later, between Portugal and the Azores. The ship was devoid of all crew, but largely intact and under sail, heading towards the Strait of Gibraltar. The lifeboat was missing, but the ship was still in good condition and had plenty of provisions in the hold. The crew of the ship were never found. So
why would they take the emergency escape pod if the main mothership's still working?
The mothership's working fine.
Come on.
Why would you get in the little boat? What would propel you to get off the boat and take off in a little, dinghy?
Something on the boat that you couldn't get off.
Yeah. All their food left behind, is just bizarre.
Doesn't make any sense.
And this was a fairly large ship. It's a large sailing vessel. It looks like it had probably about 3 large sails on its main mast, and plus a few extra sails on smaller masts. So it's a pretty big boat. So
that's my bow, the Gen A.
Oh, just stay tuned for that one.
Oh no!
The next one is called the Joyita. Joyita. It was a merchant vessel that left Samoa on October 3rd, 1955, bound for the Tokelau Islands. 5 weeks later, the ship was found with all 25 passengers missing. The ship's radio was broken, but it was attempting to send out a distress signal. So it must have been working to the point where it was, sending out a signal,
Right.
but maybe the main antenna or something was broken, so the signal wasn't going anywhere.
Oh, wow.
All the life rafts were missing, along with the captain's log, which is another curious thing. Why
He took it with him?
Why would he take it with him? But I
Better
don't
take
know,
my book.
Maybe that's what the captains do. As well as all the navigational equipment and firearms kept on the boat were gone. An investigation determined the fate of the passengers and the crew to be inexplicable on the evidence submitted at the inquiry. In other words, nobody knows what happened to these
But the boat was in good shape still?
The radio ship was broken.
Okay.
There actually is a picture with this one, and it looks kind of capsized almost. It's half in the water.
It's seen better days.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Captain took his log though.
But nobody usually,
diary.
if your boat's going down, this is 5 days later, and it's still floating. You think they'd stay near the main boat, but apparently they did not. The next one is and this is Japanese, so I'm going to kill it here. But
Do it.
it's the Ruunmaru. Ruunmaru was a Japanese fishing boat that washed away from its mooring in Amori Prefecture by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami that hit Japan. Japanese officials first believed the ship had been destroyed, but eventually it floated into American waters near Alaska a year later. The U.S. Coast Guard decided to sink the boat to avoid it becoming a navigation hazard, which I find is kind of funny because it looks like it's still a seaworthy ship. In the picture, it looks well rusted, but
Maybe they were just bored.
They're like, do it.
but it's like,
Here's a ship. Blow it up. We ain't got nothing to do today.
let's not tow it back to port or anything. Let's just sink it.
Let's make it a reef.
He's like, you got any extra bullets? I got one.
I guess,
Let's do
make it a reef.
Make it a reef. What a reef.
So now we're going to the other side. We're going to the Atlantic versus the Pacific. The HMS Resolute was a ship of the British Royal Navy that was abandoned in 1854 after being trapped by ice in Viscount Melville Sound, Canada. The ship was on a search expedition to discover the fate of John Franklin, a British explorer who had been lost in the Arctic. After being abandoned, the ship drifted 1,200 miles before it was found 1 year later off the coast of Baffin Island, Canada. Freed from the ice, wood from the ship was used to make a desk that is now sits in the Oval Office.
That's cool.
The Resolute desk.
From National Treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, from that movie National
Well,
Treasure.
there you go.
Yeah,
You see-
one of my personal faves, by the way.
You
No
learn
aliens, though.
So it drifted 1,200 miles.
1,200 miles.
There's a lot of ships that can't
it
sail
got
that intentionally, and it
Right.
just kind of meandered 1,200 miles.
But it just goes to show you how unforgiving, the world can be in certain areas where they went out looking to save some guy and they themselves became a mystery.
Yeah, not only do you get to not save him, you get to get disappeared too.
The ship was abandoned and it just left afloat 1,200 miles. So.
Jeez.
It's almost like Flight 19, the famous Flight 19 in
Yeah.
Bermuda Triangle. They send a rescue plane. That plane goes down. They send another
Right.
rescue plane. That crew
Yeah.
disappears.
There were a couple of planes that disappeared.
Quit sending planes.
At 19.
After a while, you just call it a day.
Yeah, hot air balloons instead.
Yeah.
Another one, the SV Bellamica was a classic schooner that was found derelict near Punta Volpe, Sardinia, Italy in 2006. So this is a ship that was found in 2006, so fairly modern day, but this thing kind of looks like the pirate ship a little bit from the Goonies.
Oh, that's Goonies.
Yeah,
it
It's not
kinda
a
does.
sailboat, it's a schooner.
It's a schooner.
One-eyed Willie's on there.
But the Coast Guard crew that discovered the ship had found half-eaten Egyptian meals, French maps of North African seas, and a flag of Luxembourg on board.
Kind of a bougie crew there.
That's pretty eccentric.
It was briefly believed to be a mysterious antique vessel, but when the owner of the ship was found, a man from Luxembourg, it was discovered that it was a ship that was likely abandoned so the owner could avoid paying taxes on it. So what it was probably an old ship, but they just took it out to sea, abandoned it,
Yep.
and then it came back to bite them because they were able to identify what the ship was and who it belonged to and figure out this dude wasn't paying his taxes.
See,
That's one way to get around your taxes. Just take it out to sea and sink it.
when you want to sink it, it won't, and then when you go look for a lost guy, you get disappeared.
So I keep going back to they found an Egyptian meal. on the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah.
All
this-
it was a McDonald's Happy Meal with Egyptian writing is all it was probably. How they know it was Egyptian?
This Big Map's from Egypt.
It's the Sphinx burger.
The sailing vessel Carol A. Deering was a five-masted cargo schooner that was spotted with its crew when passing through Cape Lookout Lightship, North Carolina on January 28th, 1921, while it was traveling from Rio de Janeiro back to Norfolk, Virginia. After delivering a cargo of coal, she was found abandoned 3 days later off the North Carolina coast. The ship's lifeboats and logbook were missing. Again, they take that book
Weird.
with them. and the disappearance has been hypothesized to have been caused by weather conditions, pirates, and even communists.
Ooh, even worse,
can't figure
pirate
it out.
communist storms.
Communist pirates.
Pirate communist.
Still, pirate communist weathermen. Still, there is no conclusion to what happened to them. So these guys were coming all the way from Rio de Janeiro. They get as far as North Carolina. They were going to Virginia. And just in that short time from North Carolina to Virginia, something happens aboard and they all disappear and the ship is found floating by itself.
Commie pirates.
That should be the title of this episode. Commie pirates.
Arr, there's no individual, matey. We're all one under the sun.
All right. So this one's kind of cool. This is, you were talking about the little boat with 3 men. And I wonder if this could be. This is the Kaz 2.
Yep, that's the one. That's one that I saw the documentary about.
So
Were they
this,
butcher and baker and a candlestick maker? That's my only...
the Saline Vessel Kaz 2 was a 12-meter catamaran. So this is a fairly little boat, and it looks, fairly new.
Oh yeah, it's pretty modern.
It just looks like, something you would see in a port, in Hawaii or Florida, that belonging to somebody who's fairly well off. That takes it out for a joyride every now and then. It even looks like solar panels on it. So, it's a fairly new ship. It was sailing in Australia with a 3-man crew in 2007. She was found drifting 88 nautical miles off the coast of Australia 5 days later. The boat was in perfect condition, except for one sail that had been shredded. Investigators never found the 3 men, but they hypothesized that they may have ended up in the ocean while trying to untangle a fishing lure caught in the boat's rudder. And the choppy water may have been, unable to get back on the boat. So the 3 of them are trying to clear the motor that may have been
they
messed up.
They kind of did a reenactment on the show that I watched. They're like they had a theory that one of the guys, for whatever reason, went overboard. Whether it was to free a cable or he was just goofing around or what have you. Guy number 2 bends over, reaches down to grab his hand to help him get back into the boat. Winds change, sail changes, knocks guy number 2 in the back. Suddenly he's in the water.
Yeah.
They say guy number 3, panicked, and rather than throw the life preservers in there, jumped in to save them. And while he's in there trying to save them, the boat goes off on its own.
Right.
So they're almost theorizing that it was just like literally a perfect storm of unfortunate incidents, and suddenly all 3 of them are in the water, boat's gone.
It kind of reminds me of the movie Castaway and how the ocean and the ocean currents work, because he gets out there, he gets mad or something, throws Wilson, or Wilson falls off his little raft that he created.
Yep.
Wilson, the volleyball, falls off, goes floating away. He panics since he's become attached to Wilson, jumps in the water, starts swimming after him, realizes he's not going to be able to catch it, and decides, I better get back to the boat or I'm going to die.
Right.
And he does. But, it's just in that scene, it just goes to show you how those currents, how quickly they can separate people or ships or things from you.
Yeah, and if you're not even remotely able to kind of combat that at all, you're going to get exhausted by the time you even get to that person.
Yeah,
that's some heartbreaking.
Makes me want to stay on land.
So we're not going on a cruise anytime soon.
Well, thankfully, we're about as far from an ocean as you can get in this country.
There is no ocean.
We're in middle Nebraska.
But now that you mention it, is now a good time to talk about the Paranormal Dads cruise that we're planning?
We should.
Oh no.
We should reserve your spot now on the ghost ship.
So
it makes me wonder, though, how much of this is pirate activity? Like, all kidding aside, I was reading that piracy has become a huge thing.
And it makes you, I mean, that would explain a lot, that they march people off the boat and take them wherever they're going to take them. And either for slavery or ransom or whatever they're going to do with them.
You figured they keep the boat or ship.
You would.
But maybe for them it's just too much trouble.
Yeah.
I know, you think modern day pirates, you think Somalia.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
With what was that Tom Hanks movie?
Captain
Captain Ron? No, that's
Captain.
just a different
Hook.
Captain.
God, what was his? What was that? That's driving me nuts.
You look it up.
I'll look it up. And then
That was a good movie.
Captain Ron was with Kurt Russell.
Captain
wasn't it?
Ron was awesome, dude.
Yes, that's the captain we want.
Captain
Which I think there was a pirate scene in that movie too, though.
Movie book.
Here's another one. It was the SS Baichimo. SS Baichimo was a steel-hulled 13,000 ton cargo steamer used to trade provision for pelts into its settlements along the Victoria Island coast of Canada. On October 1st, 1931, at the end of a trading run and loaded with cargo of fur, Baichimo became trapped in a park in packed ice and was abandoned by its crew. Despite being unmanned, the ship eventually broke free from the ice and continued to be spotted floating around Alaska throughout the 1930s. She was last spotted in 1969, 38 years after she was abandoned, still intact and seaworthy.
Whoa!
So that's so crazy that they see the ship and they can identify it, yet nothing is done to secure it or bring it in. They just let it go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the theory is you got to throw out there a portal. Did they get sucked into a portal? Was it pirates?
Yep.
Was it everyone ate some bad food and lost their mind and just jumped overboard? Or was it, aliens, beam sucked them right up into outer space?
I'm a fan too. I know I keep going into portals. That's like my go-to.
Well, this particular one, the crew, it was abandoned by the crew because it was stuck in the ice.
I see.
And so they got off somehow, and then left the ship to be frozen in the ice, and then eventually it broke free and it just wandered around for the next 40 some years.
That's crazy. I know I mentioned portals a lot, but I do think about like the ocean and I was reading a thing too recently about there is a thought that beneath the Bermuda Triangle there is some sort of structure that might be ripping open portals and causing some sort of like electromagnetic disturbance every so often too. It's not like persistent, but like it comes and goes. So it just makes me wonder about the ocean in general and just all these weird, not even just these disappearances, but like just weird bonkers things people see. I wonder about there being rifts into other dimensions that maybe in a weird way people just get kind of sucked into.
I mean, the ocean's a perfect spot for any sort of monster myth or mystery. I mean, our planet's 70% water. It's so deep, it's so dark, it's so cold. We can't get there. Most of the ocean's inaccessible. And I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of our own oceans. So I don't know. If you're on a ship, make sure it's seaworthy.
Did you figure out the Tom Hanks movie?
Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips.
Not Captain Ron.
Captain Ron is a great movie, though.
This episode's turning into the Tom Hanks episode because, before we had Captain Phillips, we were talking about Castaway, and now the one you mentioned earlier, the Jenny.
The Jenny.
This is Hanksgiving.
This is my ship, the Jenny.
Hanksgiving.
This is actually a ship called Jenny.
Oh my gosh, really?
Jenny was an English schooner which left port from the Isle of Wight in 1822. It was discovered by the whaling vessel the Hope 18 years later, frozen solid in the Drake Passage, the body of water between South America's Cape Horn and the South Shetland Islands of Antarctica. So it was a long, long way from home. On the schooner were the dead bodies of the crew, preserved by the cold climate surrounding it. So Jenny took a little voyage down south and went a little too far south. But
took care of her crew.
You
guys just sleep.
But that was the first thought when I saw this ship. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
I'm going to...
That's the Jenny.
Jenny, don't kill the crew, Jenny.
We got about 14 Jennies now.
I must have drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers.
Oh, man.
All right, just a couple more here. Saline vessel ocean wave. And I use that term vessel very lightly. This is actually a one-man vessel.
Yes!
It basically looks like a bathtub with a sail.
That's my kind of boat.
It was a flat earther who made it, right?
I'm going to prove the oceans are flat.
It was designed by Dutch conceptual artist Bas Jan Adder. This pocket...
I take the
I love that
bathtub and I
term.
put the sail on it, yeah.
They call it a pocket cruiser. And you could fit this thing in your pocket.
That sounds like it's something from an adult toy shop. I'm sorry. The pocket cruiser.
The pocket cruiser.
Jeez, come on.
Don't pee in the boat. You'll sink it. It's so tiny.
It was designed for his trip from Massachusetts to the Netherlands in an attempt to cross the Atlantic in the smallest boat ever. Adder was an accomplished sailor, but 10 months after his departure, the boat was discovered floating upside down. And I laugh. I shouldn't be laughing, but floating upside down 200 miles due west of Land's End, England, by fishermen. The boat was stolen soon afterwards, leaving little evidence of it. Though it is believed Adder fell overboard and his lifeline was ripped out in heavy weather. So if you guys look at this, we'll have to post this on the website. But this thing is,
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that to take that across Carter Lake.
yeah, it's a tiny little thing. It looks like a bathtub almost, and
Go in the tiny boat. You might not float.
looks like a little pup tent with a sail.
It looks like a thing at like an amusement park. Those little boats you were at Disney World.
And lastly, the ship called the High Aim 6 was a Taiwanese ship that was discovered without its crew drifting in Australian waters on January 9, 2003. There was no evident reason for the abandonment, and no signs of distress were found, with the crew's personal effects still on board. The Taiwanese police said that the ship was abandoned because of a mutiny and arrested one person in connection with the crime back in the country.
You don't hear that word very often.
You don't.
It was a mutiny.
Yes.
Swashbuckling buccaneers.
So
We've
there was a mutiny and they all left the ship. So anyway, there you go. Bunch of strange ships floating around the ocean.
It kind of runs the gamut, though. Like everything from what would be just pure, like, unfortunate accident to, nefarious.
Mutinies, right?
To, pirates.
To who knows what.
To, abductions of sorts.
Well, and then there's those cases of those ghost ships. It's not like a crew. It's not like there's no crew on board, but it's almost like these translucent, foggy kind of ships from a distance,
Yep.
and then poof, they just disappear. Almost like it's a time slip. They're straight out of the 16 or 1700s.
And you could go there with this. I pretty much stuck to actual ships that were found, but there is a whole long list of ships that are often seen in certain places of the world, like you say, in the fog, or they appear every 30 or so years. People don't know what they are or why they're out there, but they've become the thing of legend. And some that are, you can't even tell if they're solid or not. They're just kind of almost apparitions out at sea.
Yep.
Yeah. Spooky.
I've read of cases where there's been other ships flagging down the ship that they see visually, and then as they get closer, they see that it's not there, or it is translucent and then fades away. The ocean, man, that's where a lot of paranormal stuff happens for sure.
Yeah, there's so many mysteries and so many strange things out there, and they just continue to discover things that go on underwater in the depths.
Ugh.
Well, thanks for rounding up that main mystery, Pat.
All right. Thank you all for listening to Paranormal Dads. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Well, thanks to everyone at freesound.org for providing us with sound effects and music for this episode. And as always, stay tuned to past the wrap-up music for bloopers and kind of our gag reel that we like to do. Shenanigans behind the scenes kind of things that take place.
Bloopers and practical jokes.
Waka waka. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. We'll get another one ready for you. And thanks for listening.
Bye.
Until next time. You have glitter on your face.
I have a 5-year-old daughter, dude. My whole life is a glitter bomb.
That's true.
What do you expect?
That's true.
Civilence.
It looks so squatchy back there now that the trees are all
Civil
gone.
disobedience.
I was
Civil disobedience. Test.
Rage against the machine.
Rage.
Paranormal Dads coming at you strong.
Strong odor.
I'm sorry. Can you smell me for real?
Dude, totally joking. I was joking. I can't
so
smell you.
self-conscious.
I can't